Okay, let's choose up. I'll take Jamal and Tutal. You can have Chubbs and Skippy. Let's go. My ball.
Okay. But you got skins.
Not a good negotiator? You don't have to be a good negotiator at McCarthy Chevrolet. McCarthy guarantees the lowest prices on a new Chevy or we'll pay you $10,000. We guarantee there's no need to shop anyplace else. McCarthy Chevrolet, I-35 and Santa Fe, Olathe.
Track Talk with the RacinBoys is brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet in Olathe, home of the $10,000 low price guarantee. Chevy runs deep.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're the RacinBoys. I'm Scotty's Kirk, and joining us now is FoxSport.com senior NASCAR writer Lee Spencer. How you doing, Lee? Lee, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
There you are. How you doing, Lee?
We're great. How are you?
Well, we're doing okay. Man, we missed you out at Kansas. We got our wires crossed. I was hoping we were going to be able to talk to you out there. A lot going on. First, before we get into what's current events, your impressions of Kansas Speedway, and was it the wild card of those final few races that we have here in the chase for the championship?
It was pretty wide open. I mean, we were kind of surprised. I mean, there were, wild cards there. There were wild cards at Talladega. There seems to be wild cards all over the place, which ought to play well when they start promoting that casino and hotel for next year.
Right. What were your impressions? Were you pleasantly surprised? Were you disappointed? I thought the track widened out enough to where we had some pretty good racing out there. Obviously, 14 cautions. That's a record amount of cautions. But everybody loves the double file restarts, which I think made it exciting. Not real long green flag runs. And, that's what makes racing born is these long green flag runs sometimes, right?
Well, I would agree with that, and there have been way too many over the course of the season, and certainly as the teams got acclimated to the racetrack, the racing became more intense, and, the track's going to have to be seasoned. Anytime you have a repave, things, it takes a while to settle in, and I think once the guys, started figuring things out, they kind of got their groove, and the groove came in, then, everybody, everything just kind of came together. But I really think that the racing is going to improve every time we come back, and, the track has a tendency to age, and especially with the kind of winters y'all have,
right,
and how intense the summers can be. It'll make for, the racing will just get better every time we come back.
Yep, I agree. All right, so Kirk and I were just talking before the commercial break, and I want to get right into it here. We're talking about Keselowski staying out last week. And, everybody was quick to say, oh, that was a horrible move. I want your opinion. I'll give you mine, and you tell me if you agree or disagree. I thought that it was a good move because at the time that everybody came in and he stayed out, they were running 6th or 7th. I can't remember. So they were looking for that track. Was it 6th? Okay, so the worst he could do is run 6th at that moment. He stays out. As long as he doesn't go any further back than 6th, he's right back where he started. But if it all works out just the way he was hoping, maybe he picks up a couple positions. Good move, bad move on your part. What do you think?
I would have come and pitted only from the fact that he's got so much drive and determination right now that it would have put him on equal footing with the guys in front of him, and he might have picked up a spot or two rather than finishing 6th. Who that move hurt the most was Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Right.
Jr. on old tires couldn't really go anywhere, and I mean he got bit in the butt, and that was really tough because he ran in the top 10 all day, and, it doesn't have chase implications, but when you look at the health of the sport and, when Junior does well, we all do well, kind of mentality, that probably was more detrimental down the road than, just the basic here and now chase implications.
Has anybody looked at the numbers when Junior didn't race those two races, the television numbers and the attendance? Did we see any kind of drop-off at all because he wasn't there?
I mean, I think that's hard to predict, but, then again, it was more important for him to stay out, to get well, and get back at it, and now he feels fine. So, looking at it from that perspective, I think he made the right move.
Oh, absolutely made the right move. I'm just wondering if the sport itself suffered numbers-wise because he wasn't there. We always talk about if Dale Earnhardt Jr. isn't there, we're going to lose a lot of fans, and I'm just wondering if people just automatically tuned off because he wasn't there. That's all. He made the right decision.
I won't say that it hurt attendance at the races prior to that. I mean, certainly you all had pretty close to a full house, and it's the fans at Martinsville for his comeback. It was about equal, but I really haven't looked at the TV ratings enough to figure out what's going on. And the chase is kind of funky, even though it's NASCAR's former playoffs. It falls at the same time as Major League Baseball's World Series. It comes at the same time as the NFL. So, when you're judging against the competition, sometimes, the pure numbers are hard to find.
Lee Spencer is joining us. She's from FoxSports.com. Jimmy Johnson saved his championship at Kansas Speedway after backing his car into the wall. Of course, we all know about what this pit crew did to get that car back out on the track and still get a top 10 finish. From a emotional that's the wrong word, but from a mental standpoint of the whole team, how much of an impact was that for Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus in the way they performed here over the last couple of weeks with 2 poles and a win? Did that make a difference from a mental standpoint, or were they just as strong mentally before as they were after that event?
I think it was a huge momentum builder. They needed something to shift. They needed something to change. Keselowski had led the points for 4 weeks, and or it had been 4 weeks since Johnson had led. So it's like you needed that momentum shift, and I really believe that was it, because they were able to pull together as a team and prove that they still had what it takes to be contenders. And everybody needs to know that. Everybody needs to know that when push comes to shove, that your fellow teammate is going to be there for you. And I think that kind of situation can propel a team more than anything else. When you can come back from adversity and fight through it. I mean, that's what's been the turning point for the 2 teams and Brad Keselowski, is the fact that anytime something happens or that group gets down, you will see them persevere, and that really separates the contenders from the pretenders. We see that year after year, and that's been a signature move of the 48 team, is their ability to always come back. It's kind of like the Terminator. And, Keselowski did the same thing. And it's going to be a strong fight to the finish in the last 3 races.
You know these drivers. You've interviewed them all. Tell us about Brad Keselowski and the kind of mindset that he has. He's still yet to win a championship. He's relatively new in the series. We all know what happened to Denny Hamlin a couple of years ago, and Carl has taken a step backwards after contending for the championship last year. What kind of a guy is Brad Keselowski from a mental standpoint? You know about all the mind games that take place.
What a great
and then
segue.
Homestead. Can he handle that?
What a great segue into your column that you wrote this week, by the way.
Can he handle that?
The one thing about Brad, and he has such determination. He's a third generation racer. I've been to the roots of Keselowski racing back in Michigan. I did a feature with him last year, and walked around the places where he grew up. Walked around his the shop his dad once owned. We just kind of hung out and got the feel for what really makes Brad Brad. And with the American auto industry being based right there in Detroit, and his father having worked for Dodge and things of that nature. The biggest takeaway that I had from why are there not more race car drivers from Detroit? This is car capital. And he goes, you have to not love your car. He goes, people are sitting there and they love their cars, and they massage on their cars. you have to get beyond that and use your car as your weapon. You have to use your car to race. It's it's great to sit there and admire your car and take care of your car and have it get you to a certain point. But when push comes to shove, you're racing, for wins. You're racing for titles. You're racing for pride. And you have to go through that. And I mean, that's, he's been able to get past that Detroit mentality, that some racers have, and really, push it to that next level. Brad, although he may not be classically trained and, never went to college, the kid's really, really book smart. He's a voracious reader. And, quite frankly, if you had to put it on a hunger chart as to who wants it more, I would say that it's well into his corner because, he watched his grandfather, struggle. His father, just try to get to that next point and never getting there. He's got a huge sense of pride. He's got a huge responsibility on his shoulders to be that Keselowski that broke through the minor leagues and got to the big time and win the championship. And, the kid absolutely has, he's so much more mentally tough than Denny Hamlin is. And Denny's been snake bit with So Good Racing so many times, whether it's a $10 card or an engine failure, whatever the heck it is. I mean, he's just, he's in a state of resignation. It just, anytime something happens, it's like he just goes limp. And, Kyle's just, Kyle hasn't resigned himself from it. He's just found better ways to deal and cope with whatever misfortune that they handle over there. But, Brad's Brad, and I mean, he has this intense burning inside of him to want to do this desire, and it's just incredible to watch him, mature from the time that he started with Dale Earnhardt Jr. at JRM, even from that point, and move up to where he's become, the number 2, number 1 driver, depending upon what week it is.
I was going to say, getting in Jimmy Johnson's head might be difficult to do, but if there was one driver that is competing for this championship that might cause concern for Jimmy Johnson, it'd be Bad Brad, I think. I just think that he has that kind of, aura about him that his confidence oozes so much that other drivers pay attention to that. And I believe that he can win this championship. Don't you think the best thing that could have happened for him to come out of Martinsville just 2 points behind? Because I think so many people figured he was going to finish outside of the top 10 or have a top 15 run or something like that. To really come out of there with the 6th place finish, that was like a win for that team.
Absolutely. I mean, if he can win the championship this year, if Clint Boyer can win the championship next year, it'll be great for the sport because you'll have 2 young guys that have lots of personality. And, people like change from time to time, and they like drivers to be more than just vanilla. And
Jimmy's
for whatever
vanilla.
reason, the sport did a really lousy job of marketing Jimmy Johnson during his 5 championships. And a get to know Brad Keselowski, a get to know Clint Boyer. I mean, you have guys like that just are real. It could be great for the sport. Taking a step further and trying to attract that younger generation.
Yeah. Let's talk about Clint. Obviously, he's one of our local drivers. We watched him race at all of these local tracks around our area. Realistically, does he have a shot? I mean, he qualified good for Texas. I think it was 4th. Do you think that he can get in the mix? Or it's going to be pretty difficult for him, though. He's going to have some luck.
The top 2, obviously Keselowski and Johnson are going to have issues.
Right.
But I think, if that happens, Clint can capitalize. I mean, he's right there with Casey Kane, another strong, solid team. But Clint has a lot of, like Keselowski, Clint has a lot of want to. Mm-hmm. And Clint doesn't feel the pressure to the same degree as a Keselowski does. He doesn't feel the kind of pressure that a Jimmy Johnson does because he's Clint, I mean,
right.
Clint's just so laid back, and Clint's about having a good time. You guys know that when he's not, racing or hunting or whatever, he likes to slip off to the Ozarks. I mean,
right.
he was hunting last week. I mean, that's just, he's become the new generation Dale Earnhardt, the guy that you want to hang out with and have a beer with. The guy that fans can relate to, the guy that if you're, out in the infield, Clint's the guy you want showing up at your barbecue.
The blue-collar guy.
The party. And if he ever, when he and Brian Patty get it all figured out, and they will, I would not be surprised if next year that, Toyota really puts their support behind a guy like Clint Boyer, because Clint Boyer and that team can win a championship.
I've been around racing for 50 years, and I try to tell the other radio people that we do segments with on their shows that motorsports fans love to hate winners. Why is that? I mean, really, because a lot of them say, look at Tiger Woods. When he's doing really well in golf, everybody it pulls everybody into the sport. They're all interested in all this greatness that's going on, but our sport's the exact opposite.
Because there's 43 drivers every week, and not all the fans are going to be behind one, because there's so many different people, and you're going to have so much support. You've been around NASCAR fans, and they're rabid. I mean, they're just so into it, and they're really educated about what's going on in the sport. And if that's their driver, they're going to tell you where he was born, how old he is, how many girls he dated in high school.
Right.
I mean, it's just, it's that kind of craziness that it's why they're fanatic. But anyway, you have 43 drivers, and they all have fans, and so you're not going to just be rooting for the same people over and over again. I mean, back in the car days, back in the 70s and the 60s, you had people, they were manufacturer fans, and we've really broken away from that, trying to promote the personalities of these drivers. But, I think going forward more than anything, you're going to have you're going to have splits, and the new car is going to be an equalizer, depending on who gets up on the model first and really figures it out. You can see a whole set of stars emerge from that next year. I mean, it'll likely be the same cast of characters, but who would have thought at the beginning of this year that Michael Waltrip Racing would put two cars in the chase, and you'd be talking about Clint Boyer as being a weekly contender, which he has been. They haven't missed a step throughout the year, and the new car is going to even do more of that to separate people who really worked on it and figured it out early, and those that played catch up.
Well, there was a time, and a lot of people around the country don't know this, Lee, that Clint Boyer, there was a time when he was racing on a weekly basis out here to Lakeside Speedway. He was winning most of the races and the championships. He got a lot of boos up there in the stand. There's a lot of people didn't like Clint Boyer back in those days, and he thrived on that.
You know what? It's because he had too much swagger for the local level. He was too confident. He was just.
Well, you gotta have that swagger at the top. I'm telling you.
That's right. Absolutely, no doubt about it. All right, so I see your new column up today. Danica wearing the NASCAR look well. Looks like stock car racing is rubbing off on Danica. We'll close on that. Danica, do they respect her or disrespect her for what she has done in her limited amount of time? And obviously, I'm talking about the incidents that she's had on the track with Regan Smith, Sam Hornish. What are the drivers, not the fans? Let's forget about what the fans say and how critical of her they are. What are the drivers saying about Danica?
Other than Tony Stewart, who's going to cash a big check when she comes over there next year, I think they'd all like to see her spend another year in the Nationwide Series before she makes the move. But right now sponsorship means everything, and GoDaddy's standing behind her, and it's going to give her a shot up at the at the Cup level. So I don't think if anybody talked to you off the record in the Cup division, they would think that she needs to be there full time next year. I mean, one full season in the Nationwide Series does not prepare you necessarily to be ready to run Cup. And she has, some people like a Tony Stewart, proved that they were much better with the heavier cars and more horsepower once they got into Cup from Nationwide. I don't think that's going to be the case for her. I don't think the light switch is going to flip on. It's going to go, hey, we're good to go here. She's got two more races to show what she has this week, next week at Phoenix. Phoenix is her current home track. She lives in Scottsdale. She gets to sleep in her own bed. we'll see how she does. But I think if you really got an honest opinion from most of the competitors in the garage, they would say, hey, wait until 2014.
Don't you think ultimately in the end she'll be a nationwide series driver full time? Do you think she'll because here's the thing, I'm looking at GoDaddy, and I'm getting mixed messages right there when I read that they've got a new marketing management company handling their dollars. I hear the backing, we're right behind Danica. But let's face it, anytime there's change with a marketing company that handles your brand, sometimes you get cut. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I could see those dollars being trimmed back if she doesn't excel or at least show some promise at the Cup level.
Well, according to her management and Stewart, they keep saying she's got 2 years locked in, so we'll see if this experiment works. Either way, she's going to pocket a whole lot of money in the next, 2 years, and then she'll be able to do whatever she wants. If IndyCar still wants her, then, she can go back and run open wheel. But, it'll be interesting to see how things transpire here over the next 24 months. And, 24 months, pick up the phone and call me again. We'll talk about it.
All right. Well, Lee, you are the best. We appreciate you taking the time. Always enjoy your unfiltered opinions, and you can check out all of Lee Spencer's work again at foxsports.com. You're the senior writer for NASCAR. Thanks again, Lee. We'll talk to you down the road. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. That's Lee Spencer. It doesn't really get any better. You want to read some good articles about NASCAR that are as unfiltered as possible, just go to foxsports.com and click on Motorsports. You'll find her columns in there.
Well,
Today's column, again, Danica wearing the NASCAR look well. So.
I'm always interested in the middle aspect of sports, and she knows these drivers well enough to kind of tap into that a little bit, and a good insight about this championship between Keselowski and Johnson.
All right, we're going to take a break. Phone lines are open. We'll take your calls to the top of the hour. 913-381-810, 913-381-810. More Track Talk brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet when we come back on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk.